Hey guys, and Art131 here. We're still in week 2. Shall we show you here? Um, week 2, assignment 4, upside down drawing. And homework, drawing of your own feet. And notice I said feet, so not foot, feet. There's 2. So I want 2 feet. I'll show you examples. The upside down drawing is not one of your choice. It's one I will provide. And there it is right there. So it is best to draw this upside down like it is now, and you draw it upside down and send it to me upside down, or the other way around. I don't care then, but to draw it from the image upside down and you drawing it upside down is the idea, because that is working the right side of the brain. So they say. This is an experiment, okay? Hopefully, yes, it's the right side of the brain working. You will start at the top and go to the bottom, or vice versa. You can start at the bottom and go to the top, but it's best to do that and map the shapes together as you're looking at your space and trying not to run out of space before the head shows up. So maybe it is better to draw from the bottom up, so you make sure that the head actually makes it in the drawing. But the idea is to be mapping these shapes together, and the brain is perceiving it that way because they say that the subliminal doesn't pick up that it's a man in a chair as much as different shapes kind of mapped out together and fitting together. So that is the challenge. And you should basically focus in on that too, just the shapes and the lines that meet up with other lines and make into a space that is provided for you. There's only enough for a certain amount, so you have to map that out as you're going and kind of map it out. How big is that head compared to the rest of the page, and vice versa, all the way around this drawing, okay? And then send that to me. Here is the little write-up about it. I thought I had it here. Oh, here we go. Left side and right side characteristics, modes of thinking, where the left side is more verbal, the right side nonverbal, left side more analytical. So you can just read down this. I'm not going to read it all for you. It's right here. Pause it, read it. This is what they're saying, and it probably is true. I believe it. I don't find too much problem with it, but haven't experimented, for a vast amount of time with it. But typically, yeah, probably true. So, the intuitive sense would be the right side, and more the logical would be the left side. Keep reading. There's many of them there. This is the idea. It's an experiment. Let me know if the right side of the brain is tingling as you're doing this. All right, let's look at some images of feet. This is kind of a weird shading. Maybe not notice how strange that shading really is because it has little lines in it. I would prefer more smooth shading, but it just is just to get you to know you can put your feet in any position, and also notice all the darks and lights and shading all around the ankle, all around the bottom of the foot and the back of the foot. There's a cast shadow from that leg down on that ankle, and all in between the toes there's shading, and it's a gradual shading that changes as it goes around the toe, because the toe's round-ish shape. It's not a sharp edge necessarily. Most body parts are kind of like that, you know, where they're kind of rounded around where you're going. The leg is round, sort of, and has different dips and turns and crevices, but for the most part, it has rounded surfaces. So that's you're getting that accomplished in your shading by gradually going from light to dark areas. And then wherever they meet up again, it's a light area and a dark area. There's very few lines in this. In fact, there is no border line to the feet. I want you to draw your own feet. So take a photo of them or have someone take a photo of them in a certain position and draw them. And if you notice by looking at the photo, there's no contour line around the feet. You know, there may be a faint line for the toenails and stuff, but all this other is just shading. It may be very thin shading as opposed to broad line, broad mark shading, but shading nonetheless. And the way you're going to get the difference in the toes and all the shape of the toes is by shading like that, where the dark and the light meet up. Dark and light, and gradual tone changes, mid-tones. So you have very, very dark areas, very light areas, but you have all the mid-tones and everything in between. There should be about 7 different tones in this when you get it done. And then that's a good thing to look for. When you draw it and you're looking at your finished product, does it have 7 levels of tone? If you can only count 1 or 2 or 3, you need to add more and go back and look at your photo. You'll see it. And I'll also offer that information that I always say is use a single light source. This does. You can tell by the cast shadow. There's one cast shadow. When there's multiple cast shadows or no cast shadow, there's probably too much light source coming from different directions. You want a single light source coming from a single direction because that makes it easier to accomplish the shading and the shape you're trying to create from those shading processes. The lights and darks, all the contrast, that's what makes a shape appear on your two-dimensional plane. And you're going to hear me say that all term, so it's best just to get it together and then fast forward the video. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, get that in your mind and work with it. Okay, let me show you in one more image. I think I have. That's okay, but it's kind of light, isn't it? Mostly skin, unless it has a reflection mark on it or a highlight from your light source, it is not white as paper. Oh, that's because I'm in the wrong thing. Okay, let me go back. That's not the foot I wanted to show you. This is a better foot. Feet, there's feet here. And you'll see in between the toes, shading, gradually going into lighter tones on the top. Side of the foot, same thing. Ankle, the same thing. Ball of the foot, same thing. And the leg itself will have different tones as it goes around. Now, these aren't scratchy shading marks you're putting down. They're smooth. You have to use the side of your pencil. You have to use enough pressure to make it so you're not making scratchy marks, because when you make scratchy marks, you're telling your audience, well, this foot's got a bunch of texture on it and it's all scratchy, like cuts. Well, it isn't. Most people's feet, and probably your feet, are kind of smooth skinned, right? For the most part. And so shade that way. And I would suggest getting a smudger tool or using Q-tips or a little rag over your finger, your baby finger, and tighten it up and use the rag to smudge the graphite to make it smoother if you have made kind of scratchy marks with the pencil. But if you have a big long surface on your pencil where the graphite is, or charcoal, that should give you a wide enough area to where you're using the overhand grip and you're shading. If you're using the tip of the pencil grip, like writing words, that's not as easy to make smooth shading as it is the overhand grip. That's why I provided that video, and you may have to go look at it again. the holding pencil video and the shading video and relearn how to do this. If you did, sometimes it takes a few times to watch those videos. And then you're going to make nice, smooth shading as opposed to scratchy marks, okay? So I think that's all of those. Let me see if Bing has any more on here. They have some more like anatomy studies and stuff on here. Here's a good one. Here's a good one for shading anyway. See, there's really no scratchy marks there. There's no contour line per se. Maybe a faint one, but it isn't pronounced. And then, so that's what you're looking for. Here, no contour line. The shading just ends there. Then you have your background shading. You have a cast shadow here and here. If it's on a surface, your feet are down somewhere, put that cast shadow in. It's going to help a lot. But all the darks and lights, that's really all it is. And where they are and how thin or broad the marks are as you go across these bones. Light, a little darker, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. And it goes all the way through here, and it tells you there's a ripple there. But it's gradual. They sort of blend into each other where that ripple is. It isn't one stark line and then nothing, one stark line and nothing, one stark line. It's gradually goes into the other tones. And all the skin has a tone. There's no skin here that is white as paper. That's the whitest place right there. But it still has a tone compared to right here where that's probably the paper color. Yeah, it's very light, but most of it does. So that I want to see tone, contrast, lights and darks, very few lines. Okay, you're not going to draw these with lines. All right, so that's good for the homework. You got the upside down guy that you are going to draw from right there. I will try to post this on Canvas too. Maybe you can print it out, but here it is for your laptop or computer screen to just put it up, pause the video, and there you go. All right, we'll talk with you later next week. And if you haven't gotten me, week 1, you need to send that by the end of this week. All right, thank you.